Teachers' Polity in Higher Education 2020. For today's session, the topic is Constitutional Values, Human Rights and Fundamental Duties. Before entering into the academic online session, let's just spare a few minutes contemplating on God's goodness, blessings and mercy over us. The Lord's mighty hand is with us, guiding and leading us to light, teaching and imparting us knowledge and wisdom. With the grace of God, we have successfully completed this STP program, and no doubt we are going to be greatly benefited by today's session. With immense joy, I am happy to welcome our College Secretary, Reverend Sister Dr. Mariammal, and our Principal, Sister Dr. Kathlina, to this session. I am honored to welcome our speaker for today's session, Dr. Ninad Jhala, Principal and Consultant, Anand Institute of Social Work, Anand, Gujarat.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I welcome my fellow colleagues and participants from the Menti institutions to this program. At this juncture, I feel elated to introduce an outstanding man of excellence, Dr. Ninad Jhala, who is a great expert in fostering organizational growth and development and benefiting the target groups by striving towards excellence. He is an alumnus of Anand Institute of Social Work. He has consulted with 16 various national and global organizations such as UNICEF, World Health Organization, Gujarat State Child Protection Society, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, etc. I would like to highlight he is a member of International Labour Organization and has been recognized as the master trainer on elimination of child labour. His publication record is vast, which includes 41 paper presentations at national and international seminars, and he has published 34 articles, 6 books, and 23 projects. He holds credits from Medical Education Collaborative in US, and he has worked extensively on psychiatric social work, human resource management, and human rights issues. He is also closely associated with the social work programs of IGNOU, Baba Sahib Ambedkar Open University Ahmedabad, TMB Pune, and other universities in India. He is a recognized PhD guide in social work at Sardar Patel University and the PhD referee and external examiner at several Indian universities. He is a proactive member with NAC, American Academy of Neurology, National Association of Professional Social Workers in India, and a member of Indian Society for Training and Development, and a member of International and Federation of Social Workers, etc. With due respect and honor, I invite Dr. Ninad Jhala to address the participants. Over to Dr. Ninad.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that was indeed a Herculean introduction of mine, and it is just because of the blessings of the Almighty, as you rightly mentioned in the beginning, and the blessings and wishes of all of you. Well, at the outset, to begin with, I am very much thankful to Dr. Kalaivani, Dr. Esther Santini, both for selecting me to interact with you, and especially to Dr. Mariammal and Dr. Kathlina sisters for granting you and us the permission to engage in this dialogue. Well, now if you all permit, I would like to initiate the presentation.
Yes, you can start, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Can see.
It is just connecting. Yeah.
இல்ல அவ பண்ணாங்க.
Is it there on the screen, ma'am?
மீட்டு கொடுத்துட்டோம். சவுண்ட் இதாயிடுச்சு. மீட்டு கொடுத்துட்டாங்க. மேல வரீங்களா? மைக் ஆன்ல தான் இருக்கு.
சிஸ்டர் நீங்க பேசுறது கேக்குது சிஸ்டர், ஆடிபிளா இருக்கு.
கேக்குது.
எஸ் சிஸ்டர், எஸ் சிஸ்டர்.
நீங்க பேசுறது எனக்கு ஆடியோல இருக்கு. அவர் சார் பேசுறது எனக்கு ஒண்ணும் கேட்கல.
ஓ,
அவருக்கு மியூட் ஆயிருக்கு.
பிரசன்டேஷன் ரெடி பண்றேன் சிஸ்டர்.
ஓகே 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 மேம். ஒன்றும் பண்ணிட்டேன்.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, visible.
Yeah. Well, the topic, as ma'am has rightly mentioned, constitutional values, human rights, and fundamental duties. To begin with, constitutional values, we need to look at values as the concept. When we say values, we say that values are individual beliefs that motivate people to act in a particular manner. They serve as a guide for human behavior. Now, when we say that they serve as a guide for human behavior, it also means very specifically that they are not the rules to which one must essentially comply. They are just guidelines. And we all know in the COVID season that what guidelines means. Constitutional values, therefore, are the beliefs of a nation which guides its citizens to act in a specific manner. Now, here what I need to share with all of you is that when it is a belief, let us be very specific that it is a belief and not a rule, not a law, and therefore it just guides. Whether to be guided by those beliefs or not is the individual's decision, and hence the aspect of morality crops into the constitutional values aspects. When we look at the various values of the Constitution, the prime values which you can now see and look on the screen are sovereignty, socialist values, secular as a value, democratic values, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Now, these values, they form the base of the Constitution of India. And let us not forget that these values are not only primarily Indian but also have been taken from other constitutions of the world. As we all know that the Constitution of India happens to be the longest constitution ever made in the history of mankind. Now, whether we should take pride in it or not is a matter of debate. But looking at these values, let us try and have a brief look at each of these values in a bit detail. Before we go to that, we all know that we have to essentially undergo the NAC evaluations. Now, going back to the values of NAC, core values of NAC, the first says it contributes to the national development. Second, fostering global competence among students, inculcating a value system in student, and promoting the use of technology. Also, the quest for excellence is one of the values. Looking at the values of higher education in terms of the holistic approach, empowerment through education, upholding social values, imbibing eco-consciousness, acknowledging plurality, transparency and accountability, and global outlook are the basic values of education. Now, if we go back to the values of Constitution, the values of Constitution are also clearly found imbibed in the values of higher education and therefore also form a part of the core values of NAC. It is in this context that we into the higher education systems need to understand the values of our Constitution. The first value is sovereignty. Being sovereign means having complete political freedom and being the supreme authority. And India is therefore considered as internally all powerful and externally free from any rules. Now, here, what we need to understand is that though we are free from any external rule, we are not free from external effects, the effects of our environment in the terms of socio-economic and political climates across the globe. The second is the socialism. Socialism is aimed at promoting social change and transformation to end all forms of inequalities. Again, though this happens to be a value of the Constitution, we are all well aware of the several inequalities that continue to exist even today in our society. And therefore, as rightly said earlier, these are values, not essentially norms or rules that has to be or must be followed. The third comes secularism. It implies that our country is not guided by any one religion or any religious considerations. Now, if we go back to the recent history, probably we find at several instances that this value has been questioned or killed outright for several instances. I'm not saying that the secularism doesn't mean we do not respect all the religions. It definitely means respecting and tolerating all the religions, all the cultures. The fourth value is democracy. Democracy, we know that India happens to be the largest democracy of the world. And I'm pretty sure that all of us know that famous adage of the people, for the people, by the people. Now, democracy as a form of government, it derives its authority from the will of the people. The people here elect the rulers of the country and the elected representatives remain accountable to the people. What is interesting here to note is that though we, the people, elect the rulers, the accountability of the elected representatives to the people is something which is always in question, always in the media, always debated. And hence, democracy now probably seems to have been reduced to the election part rather than the accountability part. So the four basic values: sovereignty, socialism, secularism, and democracy. Then we go to liberty. Well, freedom, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship as one of the core values. Now, as has been rightly said in the movie Superman, with great freedom, with great strength comes great responsibility. We'll talk about that later. The ideals of democracy cannot be attained without the presence of certain minimal rights which are essential for a free and civilized existence of individuals. Now, again here, the civilized existence of individuals is something which we rarely see now. We see daily in the news, in the media, around us, people killing each other, people wanting each other, the increase of the wants and needs to an extent that at the cost of the lives of others, we try to satisfy our own freedoms. So freedom of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship are again certain values which are abstract and have been enshrined in the Constitution of India. Then comes the value of equality. We all believe that there must be equality. All of us in our lifetime till now must have used this term equality probably 1,000 times. Equality of status and opportunity to every citizen for the development of the best in him or her. Here the question is, who determines the best development? Whether the individual or the government. Inequality in any form present in our country and society has been prohibited, and there are laws to that effect. See, for example, there is Prevention of Untouchability Act, there is Equal Opportunities Act, there is Payment of Wages Act, all such laws. But does that really mean that inequality has gone from our society? Probably we all know the truth behind that. Then comes fraternity. Fraternity as a value stands for the spirit of common brotherhood among all the people of India. Now, how much well we are united in this form of common brotherhood is something which only the time can answer. The final value is justice. Here I need to question all of us that is justice a constitutional value, or do we look at the justice as an action? Personally, to me, justice is more of an action, because unless and until the justice is translated to a physical action, it loses its value for the common people. Then we go to the human rights aspect. Human rights. Fortunately, India has been a country which has been one of the founding members of the United Nations Councils. And we also have in our culture these rights that are always taught through the process of socialization. Now, if we try to define human rights, we come out with these 5 basic characteristics or traits of human rights. Human rights are universal. Human rights are inalienable. Human rights are interconnected. Human rights are indivisible. And human rights are non-discriminatory. Now, when we say human rights are universal, we mean that human rights belong to all people. When we say they are inalienable, we mean that they cannot be taken away. The interdependence means that all the 30 human rights enshrined in the UN Charter of Human Rights are dependent on one another, and without securing one, the another cannot be fulfilled. Indivisible human rights means that we cannot treat a single human right as an isolation. Say, for example, right to life is related directly to right to health. It is related directly to right to safety. Safety is related to education. Education is related to right to food, and so on and so forth. And finally, human rights should be respected without prejudice. We do not have any discriminatory approaches to the human rights framework. Now, let us go to the reality of life. See, my friends, my colleagues, today I am not going to tell you what human rights means. We have these rights, almost 30 human rights which have been enshrined. But we'll take up a few examples, look at it in terms of the constitutional framework, the value framework of India, and vis-a-vis the entire human rights framework. See, for example, if we look at the liberty rights and the right to life and security, do we feel secure now? Do we feel that in the COVID-19 situation, our right to life is not endangered? Then we have a recognition of the legal personality, or we have the right to presumption of innocence, or right to fair and public trial. We have a right to legal assistance. Now, whenever we look at the law, whenever we talk about law, we are always afraid to work with the law. We know that without reason or without any specific need or compulsion, we never even visit a lawyer, nor we go to the court, nor we go to the police station, which are all law enforcing and law utilization agencies. We say that there is equality before the law, and that also is a human right. Now, had there been equality before the law, probably certain owners of the airliners may not have been leaving the country like as of they have now. We have a right to nationality, and we know that we also accept asylum. Now, these are two human rights which are in conflict with each other. We have a right to health and well-being. We have a right to education too. When we say that we have a right to health and well-being and right to education, we in our country constitutionally have also got the right to education as one of the fundamental rights recognized very recently by the Constitution. But does this right actually translate into action at any of the levels? We also have a right to unionize. Now, how many unions in our country have been recognized and are functional is again a matter of debate. We have a right to democratic participation. We have the freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. We have the freedom to private property. But there are several such instances across our life, not only the public life, even our own personal lives, where we find that these 30 rights are not granted, or probably, to go back to the earlier slide, though they are universal, they are not guaranteed. Though they are inalienable, we find several human beings around us not having those rights. Though they are interconnected, though they are dependent, we find one right taking precedence over others. Though they are indivisible, we find rights being treated in isolation, and definitely they are being discriminated for. Then we come to the final part, the fundamental duties. Duty is a commitment or expectation to perform some action in general, or if certain circumstances arise. Fundamental duties